The following announcement has been paid for by the new Howell order.
Whether the team is giving us the highest of highs or the bluest of blues, we'll cover it all here on Commanders Nightly News. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. So, this is a big game. I don't have to explain to you. Just like last week, we went over the reasons why it was big and what could come of it if we won. I'm not doing that this week. We know why this is a big game. We know who we're playing. Nothing needs to be explained in that regard. I want to look at this from a different angle. Like, this team is ready to win. And despite what some of you may think about different parts of this team, the offensive line, the secondary, linebackers, whatever the case may be, we don't have a legitimate punt or kickoff return man. This team is ready to win. Okay? And despite what you may think after last week's loss to Buffalo, I'll continue to say this until there's no more breath left in my body. That was a very competitive performance by the defense. And if the offense contributes anything of the sort, anything of note, we got a legitimate shot in the fourth quarter to win that game. And you can't tell me differently. So, with that kind of performance, I'm more encouraged by what the defense did because I know this offense is going to be better. It can't be any worse than it was. And we've seen the potential, what it looks like when it's clicking in Denver in the second half of that game. Really, the second portion of the latter half of the second quarter on, we saw what this offense can be, when we put up essentially 32 points in 2.5 quarters. We know what this offense is capable of when it's clicking. And I was really more concerned about what is this defense going to look like against upper echelon talent. When we see legitimate quarterbacks, are we going to be able to hold up? The answer is yes. So I'm encouraged. The Bills weren't able to really run the football on us when we were engaged, when this game was still in the balance. Josh Allen made some plays that, frankly, only Josh Allen can really make in this league. Maybe one or two other quarterbacks. Maybe. You tip your cap. But for the most part, I thought they did a great job, did Buffalo, of scheming it up, giving Allen time. And even with that said, they only scored 16 points. All right. And you can tell me the score ended up 37-3. I'm not going to argue with you. We know why it ended up 37-3. Whether you want to acknowledge it or not, that's fine. I don't care about that. I know what I saw. So what this team is waiting on at this point now is for Sam Howell to continue to develop and mature. His growth and development is literally the next step in this team's maturation process. If this team is to take that next step, if they're to go to Philly and win, Sam Howell's going to have to take that step on Sunday, right? And again, it's going to be up and down, up and down. He may take a step forward, 2 steps forward on Sunday, and then 2 weeks from now against Atlanta, take a step backwards. That's a part of the process, right? We don't know when it's going to happen. We don't know when he's going to take those steps forward, but it's about consistency. And this next step, so what is the next step for Sam Howell, you ask? I think most of us know what it is. Let me just bring something up to you. This is how you know we got a chance to find our guy, finally, once and for all. When a quarterback is bad, right? When a quarterback isn't good and you can see it early on, what's the first complaint that you have about that quarterback? Decision making, right? Like, why? When you continuously ask yourself, why did he do that? What is he seeing? Why would he throw that football there, right? When you continuously are asking yourself that, that's when you know you have a problem on your hands. Because that's not coachable. You can't fix a guy that can't read coverages or thinks he sees something and is continuously making the same mistakes over and over. You can't fix that. We've seen that with quarterbacks here over the years, time and time again. You can't fix that. When have we said with Sam Howell, what was he thinking about there? What was he doing? Every single one of those 4 interceptions, he's got 5 on the season. Every single one of them, we've got a reason why it happened, and it has nothing to do with a poor decision made. We can go through all 5 of them. The first pick against Arizona, ball's batted in the air. Picked off. Okay? That's more of a problem than His decision making is, right? Ball's getting tipped, batted in the air, right? Gets picked against Arizona, right? That has nothing to do with decision making, right? Maybe holding on to it a tick too long is what happened there, but it has nothing to do with decision making. First interception against Buffalo, right? All you're thinking about in that particular situation, he's trying to get it all back instead of just dumping it down. The receiver was open, but they're enticing you to try to fit it into this tight window. It's a tight window for a reason. You need 19 yards. They're dropping back and they're giving you the check down. He's just got to take the check down. He'll learn, right? It wasn't a poor decision. There were actually two options on that play. One that he tried to fit it into, which is a trap, and he fell into the trap. And then Jahan Dotson was breaking open. I still believe if you lead him towards the pylon, he's got a shot for a touchdown there. But the check down is the play, right? Take the 8 to 10 yards, kick the field goal, and feel good about your first possession of the game. He'll learn, right? That's not poor decision making in terms of why would he do that. It's, hey, bro, I know it's enticing. It's a trap. Don't do it, okay? He's open. I know it looks open. Don't do it, okay? Second interception in that game. They came on a blitz. It was beautiful, right? And it was crazy because they only rushed 4. We had 5 to pick it up. It wasn't even a blitz. They faked the blitz. And if you're looking for a great explanation, and we talked about this on the film study, but if you're looking for a great explanation of how they got free, John Keim had Logan Paulson on his podcast. And he explains like faux blitzes where you act as if you're blitzing, you get the protection to slide away, and then you blitz to the other side away from the sliding protection, and now you got a free hitter coming. And that's what happened. Sam, I said it in the film study. For those in the MOBB or Patreon, I said Sam was taken aback that there was a free hitter. And Logan Paulson explained that Sam Howell said he didn't realize what that protection meant. And he didn't know he was going to have a guy hot. And so you could tell he was surprised. And that's why he threw that ball up for grabs like that. Now, you don't expect a safety that's playing, a half-field safety to come all the way down and pick that thing off. He wasn't in Sam's line of sight when he let the ball go. And then all of a sudden, and Sam got nothing on that ball. That thing hung up in the air forever. That's part of the reason it was able to be picked off. But Sam was spooked, right? That's another one of those growing pains, right? Third interception, he gets hit on the elbow. As he's throwing the football, there's no velocity on that ball whatsoever. We know Sam can drive it. And if he doesn't get hit, if Andrew Wiley doesn't get beat by a sloppy, garbage Hezzy and doesn't touch the edge rusher on that play, Sam's going to drive that ball to Curtis Samuel for a touchdown, and we're right back in this damn game 13-7, right? Or 16-7, whatever the score would have been at that time. Instead, it's another damn interception because he doesn't get anything on it, and then Curtis Samuel doesn't help his quarterback out by going to the football. He's drifting back and allows the corner to jump over him and pick it off. Again, not a bad decision. Just need to be protected there so he can get the football to his receiver. And then the last interception, he's out of the pocket. He did everything right except he pump fakes and the guy's off the ground and then he throws it. Don't throw it. Just run around him. He's already left his feet. You got him where you want him. Now go around him and go get the first down. Again, none of this is bad decision making on the part of Sam. Other than maybe you could say the first pick, throwing it into that little triangle that they had set up on 3rd and 19. But even then, a perfect throw gets it there. But why try it? I get it. You want it back. That's not the smart decision. Essentially, what I'm telling you is the last thing that we're worried about is decision making with this guy. He's not throwing into double coverage. You're not saying, bro, what are you looking at? The line, like Zach Wilson, first week of the season against Buffalo, throws it right to Matt Milano, and we go, what the hell are you looking at, dude? He's right in front of your face. How could you not see him? What are you doing? The Dak Prescott interception against the Cardinals in the red zone, where you go, bro, what the F? Like Kaiser White standing right there. How could you not see him, and why would you throw that? Sam's first pick of his career against Dallas, that was one of those what the F, bro type throws, right? Where you go, bro, what the F? What are you doing? You can't throw that ball into triple coverage. Are you serious? If that guy didn't pick it off, there's another guy behind him to pick it off. And if that guy doesn't pick it off, there's another guy behind him to pick it off. That's how bad of a throw that was. He's never done that again. So, that's part of the reason I'm confident is like we're not seeing him make poor decisions. Stupid shit's just happening. And he'll get better. The next part of his maturation that's going to take him to that next step is understanding down and distance, situational football, and getting through his progressions faster. And that could all happen in week number 4 against Philadelphia. Because if he understands, bro, how many times have we been in field goal range and he's taking a bad sack? Simply not getting rid of the football, whether it's throwing it out of bounds and getting an incompletion or checking it down. How many times have we seen that? Where first drive against the Denver Broncos, he takes a bad sack, man. You can't run out of the pocket, repost up, right? Repost, and then get walloped from behind. Like, that's not on the tackle. That's not on Charles Leno. You can't leave the pocket and think nobody's going to chase you from the backside and take a bad sack there, right? Same thing against the Buffalo Bills. He took 2 bad sacks in a row. Like, you can't do that. And then compound matters by trying to fit it and get it all back and throw the pick. So, just the simple fact of saying, hey, it's not there, check it down, or it's not there, period, and I don't even like to check down and get rid of it. And situational football. And then being able to say, hey, Terry's double covered here. If he's one-on-one, give him a shot. But he's doubled here. You know, there's a safety over the top. There's a corner underneath. Let's get to the second read. Let's get to the second progression. Jahan's open. Let's get it to him. That's the next maturation in his process. And that could happen as soon as Sunday. And if it does, we will win this game. And I expect it to. I feel like this game, and I told you, I've watched just about every single start of Sam Howell's career. One of my favorite games was actually a loss, where I thought Sam Howell did everything in his power to will his team to a victory on the road at Florida State in his sophomore season, when he still had De'Ami Brown, when he still had Daz Newsome and Michael Carter and all of those guys on the team. Sam fought his balls off in that game on the road in Tallahassee. And he had an opportunity to win that game. He makes this incredible play to extend. He finds the running back, and he drops it. Michael Carter drops the ball. And I remember just how hard Sam fought in that game on the road. And I said, yo, that dude right there's something else in there. That was the day I think I fell in love with Sam Howell, the quarterback. Like, yo, I wouldn't mind having that dude on my squad. That's the kind of resiliency we're going to see from him, I believe, in this game on the road at Philadelphia. They're not even going to know what hit him. They think so little of this guy, especially after the 4-interception game we just had. They think so little of this dude. They think he's going to come in there and wilt under the pressure of their environment and this vaunted Philadelphia Eagles defensive line. They think he's going to wilt under the pressure of all of that. We'll see. This is the kind of game that changes minds. Watch what I tell you. This is the type of game that changes people's perspective. Watch what he does on Sunday. That next step, that growth and maturation, that development, you're going to see some of it. And it's going to come in bits and pieces, and it's going to come in games. You're going to see some of it on Sunday. And you're going to go, that's my quarterback. That's my guy. You're going to go, that's NHO. Let's get to in other news, where we heard from Ron Rivera today. Very brief presser. 2 things that we'll take away from that. We'll talk about that in a second. But before we do that, let's take a look at the final injury report for both teams heading into Sunday's contest. So start with the good guys. So they didn't have the actual updated version of this on the site at the time of this recording, but John Keim already had laid it out for us, so we know the particulars, so I can explain them to you. Percival Butler practiced in full today with that foot injury. He is questionable, but it looks like all signs pointing to him playing in the game. Chris Rodriguez Jr., on the other hand, who's been dealing with an illness all week, did not practice today and is officially ruled out of this game. Logan Thomas, who dealt with the concussion last week, is back officially going to play in this game. Not on the injury report. Practice in full again. He's going to go. We already knew that from Wednesday when he spoke to the media. Manuel Forbes and Benjamin St-Juste. Forbes with the elbow, St-Juste with the neck. Both practice fully all week. I told you these guys were not an issue. They've already been cleared and will play on Sunday. So the only person that's going to be out of this game, in my opinion, my humble opinion, is Chris Rodriguez Jr. I expect Percy Butler to be available in this game. Meanwhile, we take a look at the Philadelphia Eagles injury report. And it's a lot of what I thought now. I told you guys that Sidney Brown's hamstring was troubling because he hadn't practiced all week. He didn't practice again today. He is officially out. Justin Evans has been dealing with a neck, but he didn't practice the first 2 days, didn't practice fully today. He's questionable. They're going to need him because Sidney Brown is already out. You don't want to have another injury at the same position. So I surmise that if he can go, he'll be out there. Quez Watkins, dealing with a hamstring. He's a quick twitch guy. Need that hamstring. Practice limited today, but he is already ruled out of Sunday's game. They don't need him. He's probably wide receiver 4 now with Olamide Zaccheaus coming on board. He's probably wide receiver 4 now at this point. So not really that big of a loss for them. Just about everybody else is practiced in either a limited or full capacity on Friday, and all of them are probably going to play, if you ask me. Britton Covey, Fletcher Cox, Zach Cunningham, Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickinson, Boston Scott, and Devontae Smith all practice. All are going to play on Sunday. So only guy that's out of note is Sidney Brown. Quez Watkins being out, not that big of a deal. So let's get to what Ron had to say about this upcoming week. First things first, he talked about Logan Thomas being back and what that meant for the offense. And he said, look, him and Sam had a really good rapport. We've seen the tight ends get targeted a ton, especially when Logan was in the offense. Logan was getting a ton of activity. So he's like, those two have a good rapport. And he's a veteran. He adds, that experience and that know-how to the offense. So that's going to help the offense out, which I think people just underestimate the importance of Logan Thomas in the offense. I just think people just look at him because he's not super athletic. What does he do? He does a lot of things that I don't think people give him credit for. That catch against the Broncos that he got the concussion on, are you kidding me? Anyway, glad to have Logan back. Ron, this was the most impactful thing that he said, though, during his presser, which was, in the development of Sam comes, the ups and the downs, the peaks and the valleys, and you gotta kind of ride that wave out. You gotta understand that these things are built in. Like, it's not just gonna be this, meteoric rise straight to the top and with no pitfalls and no adversity. And he's like, while Sam is continuing to grow, we still have to try and find a way to win football games. And he's like, it's another new quarterback that I have. My 4th year here, and I've got a 4th starting quarterback. 4th year, right? Like, there's been no continuity, zero whatsoever. And he's like, but people don't care. They don't want to hear that. All they see is it's year 4 for you, dude. What are you doing? And he's like, I get that. But, we got to find a way to get it done because that exists. It is year 4. And while I have a built-in excuse here, I got a young quarterback, nobody's trying to hear that. I selected this, this second-year quarterback with only one career start coming into the season as my guy. I hitched my wagon and my future potentially as a head coach in this league to Sam Howell. So I can't look for an out or an excuse with that. Yeah, it's year 4. This is the roster that I built. We got to find a way to win. And I get it. Again, I love the awareness, the self-awareness from Ron. Like, understand what this is. Like, there's no excuses here, bro. And I don't think he's looking for them. He'd love it if someone, gave him a couple and cut him a break. But he knows the business. It ain't happening. Find a way to get it done. That's the name of the game. And he's going to have to do that. And this is a big one. Who are we shitting? All right, who are we kidding? This is a big one. Again, The beauty of the Denver game and winning that game is it allowed you the cushion to lose the next two. If it happened, you're not on your deathbed. You're not 1-3 clinging to life, having a must-win game on Thursday Night Football against the Bears. You lose this game, you're back to 500 at 2-2, and you go beat the Bears, you're 3-2, and then you find a way to beat Atlanta, you're 4-2, and boom, just like that, you're 2 games over 500 again, instead of just barely clearing 500 because you started 1-3, or being back to 500 at 3-3, right? So there's a massive difference between winning that Denver game and losing it. But my sights aren't set on 2-2. My sights are set on 3-1 because we're good enough to be 3-1. We're good enough to go to Philadelphia and win. And I'm going to be honest with you. I fully expect to go to Philadelphia and win. I'm going to talk about that here in a second. I want to read this comment to you guys, though. I thought it was a really intelligent comment. It made a ton of sense. And I wanted to read this comment to you guys because I agree with this comment a ton. And it makes a lot of sense. And I really feel like this is what we're going to see in this game against the Philadelphia Eagles. Here it is. This is the comment right here. This is a great comment from Aubrey44, right? He writes, as I sit here watching Detroit run through the Packers, I realize a few things. One of those things being young quarterbacks that hold on to the ball are going to struggle. Love is holding on to this ball like it's his favorite blanket, and he and the O-line look terrible. Goff, on the other hand, probably less talented, not probably, is less talented than Love, is moving the ball at ease, but when his back foot hits the ground, he is rid of the ball like it's a hot potato. No matter how high we regard Howell, and I think he's the guy, however, if he doesn't start getting the ball out of his hands quickly, we will struggle. Also, as much football as I've watched, and no matter how much football I think I know, EB is the only guy on this team with a Super Bowl ring and qualified to call the shots. And as much as I want to run 80% of the time, I will stand down to our OC's strategy. I think that is a great comment because he's absolutely spot on about Sam holding on to the ball. And that is exactly what I think we will see less of in this particular game. Now, it's not going to happen overnight. And I still think there are going to be times we go, Sam, get rid of it. And he doesn't. And he takes a sack that he doesn't have to. But I think we'll see more of him getting rid of the football, more of him being decisive and finding receivers and getting it out of his hands than holding on to it like we saw against Buffalo when they sacked him 9 times. So I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I also agree with EB. And like I trust EB as much as I don't want to run at 80%. I'm not one of these ground and pound, bring the glory days back of the Hogs and running the football, power football. That's not me, right? But I did want to run the ball more, take some of the pressure off of Sam. But EB clearly has made it abundantly clear that that's not necessarily what I'm looking to do. If it calls for that, I'll do that. But I think we can move the football throwing it. And I want to move the football throwing it. And I trust that Sam's going to be able to do that. So we're going to keep doing that. So it is what it is. At the end of the day, I trust EB. He does have the hardware and the credentials to, get the job done. And I'm just going to let that man do his job. Because from what I've watched on film, he's not wrong. Guys have been open. Opportunities have been there for whatever reason, whether it's the O-line, whether it's Sam, or a combination of the two, whether the receivers aren't running their routes at the right depth or spacing isn't correct, whatever the case. Because I've seen a couple of times where I'm like, there's no way these two receivers are supposed to be this close, right? We've talked about this in the film study, especially against Denver. There were plays where you go, there's no way this other guy is supposed to be this close on this particular route. But it worked out, so you don't complain about it, but they got to fix that stuff. So at the end of the day, I thought that was a great comment. Let's get to the game plan, all right? So what is it going to take for Washington to come out of the link victorious for the second consecutive year in a row? Start with the offensive keys to the game. The first key to the game offensively for Washington is limit the Eagles to 3 sacks or less, and none of those sacks can result in a turnover. So, and I'll even say the hits too. Like that hit on Sam Howell didn't produce a sack, but it did produce a ball that didn't have any mustard on it that was picked off, that's just as good. That's even better than a sack, because sacks usually don't result in turnovers. That hit on Sam Howell resulted in a turnover. That's even better than a sack. So I'll even extend it to none of the sacks or hits can result in a turnover. But you can't be sacked any more than 3 times in this game, because he's going to be sacked. I don't know if we're in a position where we can say, hey, no sacks this game. I don't think we're there yet. Not when you've gotten sacked 19 times through 3 games. I don't think we can just come out and declare clean game for Sam Howell. Not yet. Not till we have a game where there's 3 or less sacks. Then we can say, hey, the maturation from there is 1 or no sacks, right? We're not there yet. Let's cut it in half. The average right now is 6 sacks a game. Let's cut that in half and get to 3 or less. And none of them resulting in a fumble or an interception, nothing crazy. If you get sacked, you get sacked. Protect the football, all of that good stuff. Next key to the game offensively for Washington. 40% or better on third downs. Right now, as it stands, Washington is the second worst team, 31st in the NFL on third downs right now at 25% completion or conversion rate, which is just abysmal. Okay, that means every 3 out of 4 times on third down you're failing, and every 1 out of 4 times you're getting it right. That's horrendous. That's what happens when you go 1 of 9 on third downs like we did last week against Buffalo. That kills your average in only 3 games. It's going to suffocate it, right? So we got to be better, though. We have to sustain offense. We have to keep the football in our possession. Can't keep giving it to Philadelphia. Can't keep putting our defense on the field and expecting them to continue to get stops. We have to possess the football. We have to score the football when we get opportunities. And we have to find a way to stretch these drives out. If you're not going to have a bunch of explosive plays, which we actually have had explosive plays to start this season off, a plethora of them, which is why we've been scoring, because obviously, as you can see, we're not great on third down. So we've had a number of explosive plays that have allowed us to get into scoring range, and we've taken advantage of those at times, but we have to be better on third downs. Against Philadelphia, we can't be punting the football with regularity on third downs like we did against the Buffalo Bills. Got to be much better there. Next key to the game offensively, red zone efficiency. I can't stress this enough. Washington in week 1 was 2 of 5 in the red zone, which is not nearly good enough. That's usually a losing formula. You go 2 of 5 in the red zone, you're asking to lose. The only thing that saved us is that we held Arizona to 0 of 2 in the red zone. That's why we won that game. If Arizona is 1 of 2, we probably lose the game. So, again, have to be more efficient. You want to know why we scored 35 points against Denver? We went 3 of 3 in the red zone. Then had another touchdown outside of the red zone. So you want to know why we scored 35? You have to convert when you get into the red zone and have an opportunity to punch it in. Last week, you want to know why we lost and why the game wasn't close? When we had opportunities, we went 0 of 2 in the red zone, right? Got to be efficient in the red zone. The last time we beat the Eagles, we were efficient in the red zone. I think that game we were 2 of 3, if I'm not mistaken, in the red zone. We punched it in, with the run game. We found ways to score touchdowns. I know there was that one possession after half that was so frustrating. We had a chance, and we didn't punch it in. But when we got opportunities, I think we were either 2 of 3 or 1 of 2. Well, either way, we found ways to get into the end zone in that game against Philadelphia the first time. We need to do that again. Last key to victory on the offensive side of the football: 1 or less turnovers, 4 or less penalties. What I'm essentially trying to convey to you in this game is we cannot beat ourselves. EB literally said at the press conference this week, we can't play against ourselves. We got to play the Philadelphia Eagles. We can't play the Washington Commanders. We cut the penalties down to 2 last game, but unfortunately, the turnovers went all the way up to 5. Okay, so let's have both of them actually work in tandem with one another and actually work to help us. Bring the turnovers down to either none or a minimum of 1, and bring the penalty numbers down. It was already down last week. Let's keep it down. 4 or less. 4 or less. We had 2 penalties last week. I got no problems with 2 penalties. If that's all, that's great. You know, let's not beat ourselves. Make them do it. Let's get to the defensive side of the football and the defensive keys to victory in this game. Limit the Eagles' ground game effectiveness. We've talked about this all week. We've talked about this ad nauseum. Everyone, Washington has the 22nd ranked rush defense, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had the 2nd best run defense in football. How do you explain how you're going to stop our rushing attack and how you're going to stop this ridiculous running back that they have named DeAndre Swift? Give me a break. Go look at what the Buccaneers were doing in the first 2 weeks. Teams were having such a good time throwing the football, they didn't even bother to run it against them. So yeah, they were the 2nd-ranked defense against the run. Good for them. All right? Good for them. And then when somebody actually said, you know what? This run thing might actually work against Tampa Bay, and they ran it, you saw what happened. And the Eagles are really good too. Let's not bury the lead. The Eagles are really good. But if you've watched us, the thing that's hurt us more than the actual running backs is the quarterback. Russell Wilson was the leading rusher for the Denver Broncos when we played Denver. Josh Allen had 49 yards on 3 carries. Remember the Cardinals game? Hollywood Brown, I think it was either Hollywood Brown or it was either Hollywood Brown or the receiver from Purdue that had that long jet sweep for like 39 yards or some crazy. That's how the averages have gotten up, and that's how we've gotten to 22nd. Go look at James Conner's numbers against us. Go look at Javonte Williams' numbers against us. Go look at, go watch the game, because his numbers, James Cook's numbers look really good. There's a 34-yard run when the game was over, when we were down 30-0 and the defense had quit. Go look at his numbers in that game and watch what we did when the game was in the balance the first 3 quarters. Like, don't tell me we don't stop the run. The biggest challenge we will have is to remain disciplined with Hurts as a runner. We really haven't seen that this year, but we know he's capable. And make sure we're tackling. DeAndre Swift can be a slippery guy. Tackle him. We do that, I think we'll stop the run effectively and we'll be able to limit the effectiveness of their ground game. If you don't, we're going to be in for a long day. Next defensive key to victory: fluster Hurts and force turnovers. And the turnovers don't necessarily have to be from Jalen Hurts. Last year, they weren't from Jalen Hurts necessarily. He did throw 1 pick, and it was a great pick by Defoe down the field. But a lot of their turnovers last year were, mistakes that other guys were making. Dallas Goedert, face mask, I know, don't care. He fumbled. We recovered. Quez Watkins, big catch, doesn't see the defender from behind, poke free, he fumbles, we recover. Again, a lot of those weren't on Jalen Hurts. I don't care where we get them from. We just need to force some turnovers. When we force turnovers and don't give the ball away frivolously, we put ourselves in a position to win. And most of the time, we do win these games when we win the turnover battle. But flustering Hurts is important because I haven't liked what I've seen from him to start this season off. For as much scuttlebutt as we're making with Sam Howell this year and his 5 interceptions, because he had 4 in one game, Hurts has thrown 3 interceptions. He threw 6 all of last season. He's already got 3 in the first 3 games, and he's got a fumble. He's turned it over 4 times. So let's not act like Jalen Hurts is setting the world on fire, okay? If we can slow the run game down, I think you can get to Jalen Hurts and really make his day a long one. I like our chances to do that. But we got to slow the run game down first. I think we can fluster Jalen Hurts. I really, truly do. It's going to be a big opportunity for us. But it starts with slowing down the run game first. Eliminate explosives. When we lost to the Eagles last year in week 3, explosives were the name of the game. That's how they got us. They didn't drive the ball down the field systematically on us repeatedly. The second quarter was where they did all their damage. All 24 of their points came in 1 quarter, and it was all due to explosives. Devontae Smith killed us in that game. Absolutely shredded us. He was the explosive dynamite of that game. And then 1 screen to Dallas Goedert also went for a touchdown. But the explosive plays were our backbreaker in that game. And this year, when we've given it up, it's been explosive plays. I haven't seen an offense consistently drive the ball down the field and punch it in against us in a game yet. It's just explosive plays. That's all. When Denver got it done, it was all explosive plays. Buffalo, they had the one touchdown, explosive play. Punt return with a penalty tacked on. They're already in Washington territory. First play action fake, touchdown. Most of their drives the rest of the game, they might have moved it a little bit, but they couldn't get in the end zone. We have to limit the explosive plays. Make Jalen Hurts repeatedly make smart decision after smart decision, good play after good play, because at some point, like he did against Tampa Bay, he's going to F up. But if you let him get explosives, he'll never have the opportunity to do so. Lastly, third down defense, third down and red zone defense. Gotta have it. Eagles are converting at a 45% clip right now on third downs. Most of that is because of the, brotherly shove. I like that better than the tush push. The brotherly shove. That's part of the reason they're converting at a 45% clip right now. But that's nor here nor there. Don't let them get into 3rd and 1 or 2 for that matter. We got to find a way to get off the field on third downs. We weren't impressive against the Buffalo Bills in that regard. We weren't our normal selves. Got to be better. And then lastly, red zone defense. Right? Got to find a way to keep the Eagles out of the end zone. And we did that to a degree against Buffalo. They were 2 of 4. So if we can find a way to do that, we'll have a chance. I like our chances. Which leads me to my final outcome of this game. 27-23. Good guys, get it done. And unlike Buffalo, where I wasn't sure and I was hoping and I was trying to speak it into existence, I wasn't disappointed that we lost to Buffalo. I was disappointed in the manner in which we lost to Buffalo. I'm going to be disappointed if we don't beat Philadelphia. I fully expect to win this game. I'm not bullshitting you. This isn't me trying to speak it into existence. Like, I'm looking at the Eagles. I see a beatable football team. I was talking to my dad, and we were having this conversation. He's a big Cowboys fan, and he watches these games just as intently as I do. Like, the reason that I'm so laser-like focused as a fan of football is because of my dad. We watch the game from the same lens. And he's like, the Eagles are beatable. This isn't the same team from last year. I'm like, I know, right? I've been saying the same thing. People have been telling me I'm crazy. He's like, no, you guys can beat them. And he's a straight shooter. He gives it to me straight, no chaser. Like, bro, if we can't win, he's like, y'all gonna get your ass toe up. He said, you guys can beat them. I said, I know we can beat them, and we will beat them. I fully expect to go into Philadelphia and win this game. And if we don't, I'm going to be disappointed because they haven't shown me anything that we can't stop. And we have all the pieces that we need. This isn't last year where they got to make mistakes in order for us to win. We got to play the perfect game to beat Philadelphia. We don't have to play perfect. We just got to play our game. And that's good enough to beat Philadelphia. People have put Philadelphia on this pedestal because of what they've done last year, not because of what they're doing this year. They've won their first 3 games. They haven't looked super impressive, but they've won. And that's the name of the game. But now we're here to show them and show everybody else that this Eagles team ain't last year's Eagles team. And I think we're going to do that in this game. And don't tell me we can't score 27. If the Vikings can score 27 and the Patriots can score 20, we can score 27 on this Eagles defense. Don't tell me we can't hold them to 23. All right? Because if the Patriots can hold them to 25 and the Buccaneers can hold them to 25, we're better than both of those defenses. We can hold them to 23 points. We're going to win this game 27-23. Sam Howell's going to impress, and we're going to get it done, and we're going to come out victorious, and we're going to have a slice of first place after the first 4 weeks of the season for the first time since 2020. Mark my words. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on Commanders Nightly News. Now, you know what you have to do. Score more. Leave it down in the comment section. Tell me what you think is going to happen in this football game. Leave it down in the comment section. Can't wait to read your entries and results as to what you think is going to happen in this game. You know how I feel. Now tell me how you feel about this game and how the outcome will be reached. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on Commanders Nightly News. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. You guys, have a great weekend. I cannot wait. Bort Scott can't wait for this one on Sunday afternoon. You know what it is. Let's roll these boys.
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. There's the snap, hand to Riggins. Good hole. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 35, the 30.